Hey everybody, I've got a fun one for you today because what we have here is one of the most dramatic, complete remakes of a car I have ever seen. We're talking Toyota Prius, but not just any Prius, the Prius Prime to the all-new Prius Prime. Let's get right into it. Oh, and the colors may change a little bit. It's a little subtle, but let's see if you see a change in color. This is the current generation of Prius Prime, or maybe I should say the previous generation of Prius Prime now, and it is genuinely one of my favorite all-around family vehicles sold here in the US because you get 25 miles of all-electric range, a ton of space in the cabin, and a base price of under $30,000. Now granted, it's a little weird looking. The Prime has kind of these funny bumps on the headlight which kind of make it look like a bug, and certainly the tall and narrow profile, it does not exactly scream attractive, but it really offers a ton of value and a ton of space and a ton of efficiency for the money. So we're out here on the national press drive of the new Toyota Prius Prime, and I think a lot of my colleagues make fun of me and think I'm kind of kidding around when I say how much I love the current gen Prius, but it's a genuine reaction. I think that the fourth generation of Prius is one of the best new cars you can buy because the value, the economy, the build quality, the longevity on this car is just incredible. Plus the configuration, all-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, plug-in hybrid version. There's a Prius to fit every butt out there, and it's going to be hard for me to top my love of this Prius. I genuinely like this car that much because it's like driving around an efficient little bubble. And I compare this car to like a Porsche 911 GT3 because that is a performance car, and the performance that a GT3 is designed to achieve is fast track times, right? It's a purpose-built race car for the road. The performance that this Prius Prime is going for is efficiency, and there is no compromise for style or dynamics or acceleration. This is a purpose-built vehicle for efficiency and longevity, and that is genuinely why I love the Prius so much, because you drive it differently. You drive it to maximize efficiency. It's comfortable, it's spacious, it's airy, it's just a great car. Now, 25 miles on a single charge. It was great when this car debuted in 2017. It's a little lacking nowadays. Certainly it's you know, that a RAV4 Prime will do over 40. It's not great, but it still is pretty good range for a lot of folks that just need to drive to and from work and can do so on electricity and plug in it at home. I love this funky dashboard design with this, you know, main display up top and then this vertically stacked 11.6 inch display, which really doesn't need to be here like this, but it's just fun and weird and makes it feel like you're driving a little alien spaceship. And I love the headroom. Look at the space I have in here. 6 feet tall, got a lot of shoulder room, plenty of headroom. It's just a good, comfortable car that everyone makes fun of me for loving it so much, but I genuinely do. Okay, so we talked about the current gen. We talked about my love of the current gen. Let's see if the new one can top it. And now for prime time, the completely redesigned, all-new 2023 Toyota Prius Prime. Boy, could this car not look any different. The old Prius was kind of tall and thin and narrow, much like, well, I hate to say it, but like a golf cart. This new one is wide and low and very sporty and very squat, and it looks so much better. Everything on this car is very aggressive, pointy and angular, like these headlights that make sharp creases and a tight point. The Prime is available in SC, XSE, and XSE Premium. This one is right in the middle, XSC, and check out these wheels. A two-tone design with a black inner, a silver outer, and a 50 profile tire, 195 width, but really low profile. The back of this car, once again, screams sleek and low and wide, accentuated by this enormous Prius script that basically makes its way across the width of the vehicle, and then this little Prime badge. Alright, let's talk about driving the Prius Prime. Now, fuel economy. We talked about 44 miles electric on the base model, like high 30s on this one. Fuel economy, same story. 52 on the base model combined, high 40s on this one. So you do lose a little bit of efficiency by getting the more loaded option. It drives much better than the old one. This is actually now a fun car to drive, especially when you consider the power. Over 200 horsepower, and it's only about 96 pounds heavier than the standard Prius. It really is a fun car to drive. Toyota says 0 to 60 in 6.6 seconds. Now we are here on this main road, merging out into traffic, and I'm going to go full throttle. builds into the power, and that doesn't feel like 6.6, and that of course is because we are in EV mode. So in EV mode, the car is still very drivable, and I love that when you go full throttle, it doesn't kick on the gasoline engine. Unlike the old one, which was constantly trying to kick on the gasoline engine at heavy throttle, this one, full throttle, there we go, 40 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour, so it does accelerate pretty well in EV mode. It just doesn't give you a little push back into your seat. But I love that it stays in EV mode, which is cool. But let's go ahead and engage that hybrid gasoline engine by pushing a button down here. We're going to go into hybrid mode. There we go. And then drive mode, sport. A lot of buttons to push. And we're going to give it a squirt. Let's see if this improves the acceleration. So I'd say it's adequate in EV mode, but certainly not quick. In the hybrid mode, full throttle. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Oh, it just builds too, so it's pretty gentle off the line. It's not trying to spin up the front wheels. But once you hit like 35, that's when you get such a big push of torque. That is so fun. I do believe mid 6 second territory. When we get it into Colorado, we'll try it on our test track and see, with some documented numbers how fast it is. But pretty impressive. Let's check out some of the kind of fun gadgets and gizmos on the outside of this car. The Prime has two places to fill it up, one on the left for gasoline, and the flap on the right is for electricity. Push in, and that's where you charge up the Prius Prime. This windshield is one of the shallowest, most aggressive, well, it's one of the most laid-back angles in the industry. It's actually the same slope as a Lexus LFA. This Prius has a glass roof. You've got a glass windshield, which meets a glass panel, which meets a bit of plastic in the rear windshield. And you can see we have actually two individual sunroofs on this model, but there is an option for a solar panel up here, up to 185 watts. Toyota worked to hide the location of the door handles on the rear door. So the front one, normal handle, pull out, it's a door. The back one, no handle here on the sheet metal. Instead, the handle is a button located here in this little cubby, push in, fully electronic, and that's how you open up the door. The Prius Prime has a 4-cylinder gasoline engine, much like the old one, and a plug-in hybrid system, much like the old one, except this one makes 220 combined horsepower, which is 99 more than the old one. That is a huge bump in performance. It also gets a huge bump in range, 44 miles of electric range on the base model and 39 miles on this trim. The rest of the Prius is much more aggressive in the way it drives. I think that the suspension tuning, the body rigidity is a lot stronger on this car than the old one. It feels a lot more stiff, which is great if you want to kind of zoom around some turns. Maybe not so great if you're looking to just cruise. It's also very quiet in here. It does a great job of isolating you from the outside world. And we have Toyota Safety Sense 3.0, which means you can engage adaptive cruise control, lane centering, and just basically let the car do the work as you cruise down the interstate on your way to your morning commute. So that's pretty good stuff. It's actually really nice to have that standard across every Prius Prime. Other things to talk about, well, a couple of things I don't like. The charge rate is pretty disappointing. So a 3.3 kilowatt onboard charger, no DC fast charging, and they say full charge in about 4 hours, but come on, I mean 3.3 in 2023, that should be a 6.6 or a 9 or an 11, right? Most EVs now are pushing that. Even a lot of plug-in hybrids, like a RAV4 Prime, you can spec with a 6.6. I wish the Prius you could as well. Now Toyota will probably tell you that, plug it in overnight. You're not going to be driving the car. You can get a full charge overnight, which is cool, but still, I like to see that a little bit beefier. Other things which are not so good, it does feel a little tighter and a little bit more claustrophobic in this car than the old one. There's just no way around it, right? You lower the roofline and you're gonna experience a much smaller cabin than what you'd find in the old one. I realize now we've driven into Legoland. This is not where I want to be. Let's go ahead and flip a U-turn. We'll try the turning circle. Oh, beautiful. Really tight. That was great. Sorry, Legoland. I think another day it will be. I can't get over how peppy this car is. It's not like brutally quick like a Model 3. Even a base Model 3 I think will outrun this by a good margin, but it's pretty quick. So other things I don't like, I really wish you could get the Prime in all-wheel drive. They say packaging, they can't package the all-wheel drive system with this electric system, but it would be so cool if you could get all-wheel drive in the Prime. You can get all-wheel drive, of course, in the standard non-plug-in Prius, but I'd love to see it in the Prime. Stepping inside the Prius Prime is much the same experience as viewing it from the outside. Everything feels a lot lower, a lot closer to the ground, a lot sportier, but that comes at a cost. Headroom, so I'm 6 feet tall, and you can see I barely have enough headroom, especially with the shade closed. It's a pretty big difference compared to the outgoing generation. I did ask the engineer on the launch of the standard Prius, does going for a fixed roof over the glass change your headroom? He said, no, not really. So if you are over 6'2", I'd say you may want to look elsewhere because headroom is a lot less in this car than the outgoing one. The screen has changed orientation in this new model. It's now horizontal instead of vertical, and we also have the newest and latest and greatest version of the Toyota infotainment system. It's crisp, it's easy to use, and it's all around a good system, except for the volume knob being on the far right side of the screen, which is a little bit weird. It really is great. Wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, all incorporated in here. The cluster has moved as well. So in the old one, it was kind of in the middle. Now it's directly in front of the driver. You look through this cool channel like you're piloting the Starship Enterprise, and you've got a great range of information. This little panel is where all the magic happens. So 4 different drive modes selected via this toggle: Custom, Sport, Normal, and Eco. This button will go between hybrid vehicle mode and EV mode, and this button will let the car decide whether or not it wants to be in hybrid vehicle mode or EV mode. There's also a charge function by pushing and holding, much similar to other Toyota plug-in hybrid models. And then right here is actually going to be your wireless phone charger. Here in this panel is where we control the climate control, automatic climate control in this model at the push of a button. You can also toggle your fan up and down, airflow there. All these little toggles feel really good. This model does have heated seats. Ventilated seats is an option. The Prime can be had with traffic jam assist, so in low speed traffic situations you can drive hands off, and this sensor right here is watching your eyes to make sure you're paying attention and not asleep. The Prime has a cubby up here on the front of the center console. Nothing too fancy except push in on this lever, and now you've got another cubby, or take it out completely and you've got a huge cubby, and down there at the bottom it says hashtag hidden compartment, if you didn't know what that was already. The Prius Prime comes standard with a heated steering wheel. Not heated seats, which is interesting, but a heated steering wheel. And then this car has a button down here for heated windshield wipers. It'll actually warm the area where the windshield wipers rest to de-ice them. The back seats is where things start to fall apart for the Toyota Prius Prime, because legroom is great, but headroom is just really poor. At 6 feet tall, my head is thoroughly jammed into the headliner, and this was one of the greatest features about the old Prius Prime, was all the room in the back. This one is lacking a little bit. Trunk space in the Prius, just over 20 cubic feet with the seats up. Fold down there, as you can see, they fold flat, 26.7 cubic feet then. And let's see what's underneath the cargo floor here. There is your included level 1 charger. Overall, though, this car is much more dynamically interesting than the old one. It's much more fun to drive, it's genuinely quick, and it'll put a smile on your face, even if you're a car guy. I mean, it's fun. It goes a lot farther on a charge than the old one, some 20 miles more depending on your configuration, right? And yeah, it's a big improvement. I just wish it had more headroom. I could lose some of the trendy, cool design for just a little bit more headroom, especially with this crossbar here being so close to my forehead. I don't know, I wish it was just a little bit taller for taller individuals. But the seats are better, the interior is better, it's more quiet, it's more refined, the overall materials in here are better. It's also more expensive though. This model that we're sitting in, going to be mid to high 30s, starts in the low 30s, like 32, so it has gotten more expensive, but it definitely has gone up market in a big way. This car is going to be available in May of this year, and Toyota is expecting to build about 10,000 this year and more next year as well. And it's going to be available in all 50 states, so it's not just a one market car, which is nice. Overall, the Prime has gotten lower, longer, wider, faster, goes further on a single charge. I mean, it has improved in almost every single way. But the question I have is, your typical Prius owner gonna be into the new super sexy Prius? Because it's such a dramatic departure. Let me know what you guys think. As always, this has been Tommy with Everything TFL. We'll see you in the next video.